Looking at everything that the estate comprised of, it looks like it's worth about 1.4 million. On this episode of Lineage, we look at the extraordinary life of Edwin Hancock, a visionary, a scientist, a friend. We celebrate his life with the people who knew him best, while the team at Fraser and Fraser trace his family to keep his legacy alive. It's not often you get to find out so many details about a person's life in this way. My name is Mike Powell and I'm a public sector case manager at Fraser and Fraser. Edwin Hancock is a case that we looked at that came from the government legal department. They advertised it with the very basic information such as his name, his date of death, date of birth, where he was born, where he died, and then we went from there. The first steps with this case were, as with any, were to make some inquiries with some neighbours just by telephone, and we managed to piece together a little bit of information to what happened and what the circumstances were, which was a bit of a help for us moving forward. Friends and people who aren't relations trying to deal with estates does happen from time to time. Because they're not related, they don't have any legal authority to actually do anything. So the easiest thing is obviously to then refer it to a company such as ourselves or to the government. Fraser and Fraser can help by looking into the family, see if we can find some family who would technically have the legal authority to do it, and then move it forward from there.
We expected this one to be a little bit more straightforward because with the name of Edwin Robert Hancock, it's quite an unusual name for us to look at. I'm Dan and I'm a research case manager here at Fraser and Fraser. The job came into me from our case manager, Mike. The first process that we were doing the research is to find the birth of the deceased. In this case, the deceased was born in 1956 in Marlborough, and from then on we'd see whether the deceased was married. In this case, we couldn't find a good marriage record for him. We'd then find his parents' marriage, and then find out whether he had any siblings or not. So we found quite quickly that Edwin was the son of Edwin, his father, and his mother, Patricia. We found their marriage and found that there was no other siblings of the deceased. And we also worked out that he wasn't married fairly quickly as well.
Tracing the family wasn't that straightforward, as it led us to various different countries around the world. He didn't have any close relations, so there was no brothers, sisters, nieces, nephews or anything like that. So we had to go backwards on his mother and father's line of the family to see if we could find anyone from there.
So we found out that the father of the deceased had two half-blood brothers, one who died a bachelor and the other one who we thought may have had issue. This was a little bit unusual in the fact that we couldn't find a death record for the half-blood uncle or his wife. In that case, we presumed that they possibly may have moved abroad, and that's when we had a little look into African records and found out that the uncle had actually died in Nairobi. Now, from there we focused all our efforts on Nairobi in Kenya, and we found out that his daughter started off in England. She was born in England. She married in Kenya and then ended up settling in Canada, so this family definitely were moving around quite a lot.
If you go to other countries around the world, the systems are very scattered. It either has to be done on the ground in that country, or we have to find record sets that may be not fully complete, but we can try and build a picture of the family from that.
The first record that really helped us was finding an obituary for the half-blood cousin of the deceased. Obituaries will name a lot of family members. It will show you whether the deceased has had any children or whether they had a partner a lot of the time, and they can be a lot more detailed and helps us out a lot more rather than just one record such as a death record. On the obituary that we'd found, we actually found her children's names, and from there we found out that they were obviously in Canada and that they would be the heirs to the estate.
So there are three relations who benefit from the estate of Edwin. They're all paternal first cousins once removed of the half-blood to Edwin, so quite a distant relation, and all of them were resident in Canada. After visiting Edwin's house, we discovered that it was in a very nice area of York, and it was full of antiques and art that he'd obviously collected over the years. After looking at everything that the estate comprised of, it looks like it's worth about 1.4 million. The property is a significant amount of that, but he also does have bank accounts, shares, and the art has obviously been valued, but we'll remain to see what it sells for. Edwin's estate looks like it will be divided between the three beneficiaries, each receiving 1/3 of the estate each.
Obviously, in this case, the heirs are abroad, and it may be difficult for them to put forward their claim to the estate. Now, that's what we're here for. We can make the process easier, we can facilitate all the needs of the clients, and just to make sure that everything goes smoothly in the resolution of the estate.
When we undertook the research into Edwin, we got some snippets of information from his friends, mainly that he was heavily involved in computers, but we didn't really know the full picture until we did a bit more digging online and found an entire Wikipedia page which basically listed all of his achievements in the field of computer science, which was very interesting, but also quite complicated to understand. We were in touch with the friends who helped with the estate, so we thought we would learn some more about him.
He was a busy man who focused very strongly on making breakthroughs in knowledge. I'm Charlotte Davis, and I've known Edwin since 1978. We met in my first few weeks at university. He was like a brother to me, and we went on having that sort of relationship all the way through. So we were very, very close. So Edwin was a professor of artificial intelligence, which meant that he was both in charge of researching, and he edited one of the leading journals in the world, and he also supervised a lot of PhD students, and he lectured. And he was doing all sorts of things like facial recognition in the early days. He was doing things like plotting the movement of the glaciers at the poles. So he was involved in a whole range of fascinating projects.
From the articles that we've read and from the research that we've done, it seems like the deceased come from quite a humble background, which is quite impressive that he ended up being a computer scientist and a pioneer in AI.
So his parents had split when he was a small child, and his mother had gone to work in service as a housekeeper, and the mother on her own with a child back in the 1960s. It was not a good situation to be in. He knew some people who were not half as clever as him, yet had ended up very much wealthier and had much easier lives, and were often given opportunities that he wasn't given. So he was absolutely passionate about equality of opportunity. He had a huge number of PhD students. He was completely devoted to them. They were the equivalent of his children. Anything they wanted, within reason, he would give them, and he would network with them, and he would try and make sure they networked with each other.
So we're going to speak to one of Edwin's PhD students in China to try and find out a bit more about his work.
I knew Edwin since 2002. He always my mentor, my collaborator, and one of my best friends.
What do you think his biggest achievements were?
He's a fellow of Royal Society of Engineering, and this title proves his contribution in academic and science. Since AI is everywhere and changing the way we are living is certainly very important. And I think it will be more important in the future.
Personally, I don't know a great deal about AI. I mean, it's obvious that it's quite at the forefront at the moment in the world with various different things, but he was obviously one of the pioneers of that.
Tracing his family was very hard. I'm Jill Turton, and Edwin was my neighbour. His filing system was chaotic, to say the least, and it was also quite difficult. Someone you'd known personally going through his possessions. It was a bit uncomfortable going through somebody's stuff. So we were very glad when Fraser and Fraser took over.
Spending your time getting frustrated with paperwork and then remembering the person for just the hours and hours you're spending unravelling the paperwork and the bureaucracy. And I just want to remember him as the very good friend he was.
Any normal person who hasn't got experience, it's very difficult. So it's always better to use a tracing company such as ourselves.
This is because of all the experience that we have in the company. I know many of us have been here for 15 plus years. We've got a couple of people that have been here for 30 years. So we use all the experience that we've gained over the years to find heirs and beneficiaries as quickly and as efficiently as possible.
You don't always get to learn so much about a person when working on cases like this. So being able to learn about Edwin and speak to the people who knew him best was a real honour. Through doing this work and learning about his life, we keep Edwin's legacy alive. But don't go yet. Stay till the end and help us locate the heirs of a £120,000 estate.
£120,000 could be yours. This is not a contest. This is not a scam. £120,000 genuinely needs to be paid out to the right family. But you need to help us find them. William Thomas Cousins was born in 1932 and died in 2006 in Warwickshire North. His parents were William Cousins and Edna Randall, who both passed away in Nuneaton. Any detail, no matter how small, can help us identify the family and make sure the inheritance goes to the correct heirs. If you have any information, please contact us on 020 7832 1400 or at info@fraserandfraser.co.uk. The answers are out there. Start finding today.